And what is up? And welcome to Ask DLF. It's Taco Tuesday. It's maybe Waffle Wednesday for those Blake who's joining us from Australia and anybody else who might be joining us from that part of the world. Welcome to Ask DLF. This is a show where you really control what we're talking about. We're here to help you dominate your dynasty leagues. We've got one of the best in the industry right here, Tyler Harp, right here. Tyler, how's it going today, man? Like, it seems like such a boring day, right? Like, not much to really discuss or talk about.
Yeah, no, there's just nothing to talk about. We're just gonna, chat about Barry Bonds not getting into the Hall of Fame. There's nothing interesting we could possibly talk about, right?
Do you actually have strong opinions about Barry Bonds?
No.
Okay, I was like that. That was going to be the shocker of the whole show, right there. If you are like joining us and you're like, oh, I'm not going to pay attention to sports today or anything in the fantasy football world, I'm just going to tune into Ask DLF. You missed out on a really exciting day. Forget about the playoff games. We'll talk about those here in a minute, which was an unbelievable weekend last weekend. But pretty big news on the Dynasty fantasy football front, being Dynasty League football that's been here since 2006 and it's not going anywhere. Still here, but acquired by BetSperts. I tell you what, there's a really good video from Addison. If you're watching this, you haven't heard that. After this is over, just go watch that from him. Basically, the Avengers are assembling. It's the same company that has Fantasy Life 4 for 4. There's a lot of great things. I'm really excited about it. I think it's only going to mean good things for us. Tyler, anything else you want to say about that?
No, other than I just want to reassure the people that I'm not going anywhere. I know that it's. I've heard this before. A couple people have asked me this kind of thing. When there are acquisitions, kinds of things like that, the people expect that there to be changes or shakeups or whatever. I'm not going anywhere. I've been told that nothing is happening, so I'm going to be here. Yeah. And all I'm looking forward to really is having some more exposure on these videos, maybe meeting some new friends. Yeah, some new resources we didn't have before. So yeah, nothing's going to change. The show's going to be the same. My articles are going to be the same. It's actually been more articles. I've been busy writing. So we can look forward to those. I've been doing the team capsule series. I think I've already done, might have just wrapped my sixth one. Yeah, the Packers. I just did the Packers. Sixth one in that series. So you can check those all out on DLF, same place as always. So yeah, no, I wouldn't say anything else other than that. I don't,
no, well said.
To say, but I'm excited.
Yeah, that's a great thing to add right there. Yeah, nothing's changing here. So if for some reason you're worried about that, nothing's changing with us. We're still here every single Tuesday, and we are going to be answering every single question that you guys send to the best of our ability. It came really close last week to us not being able to get to all of the questions. So if you're watching this and you have a question, don't wait. Don't hesitate. Don't procrastinate. Don't do any of those things. Go ahead and get those questions into the live chat. Use YouTube because you can watch this on Twitter. There's a couple like Facebook. You can watch this, and I think you can actually comment on Facebook too. But most of the questions that we see come through YouTube. It's the best way to do it. There's a great community, great chat, and always great to not only see the questions, but then the interaction and the answers for some of those questions that go on in the chat as well. You would do that very similar to the way that Marcus does when he asks a question near and dear to my heart here. Can we talk about Sean Payton's future? What his departure means for the value of Saints players? I'm gonna let you answer this, and I want like 30 seconds to just say something about Sean Payton.
I mean, it's not good, right? It's not good for anybody. You can get rid of Taysom Hill now. I mean, the only reason Taysom Hill had any value was because of Sean Payton. That's probably the one it affects the most. Taysom Hill, I mean, obviously one QB, forget it. In super flex leagues, you're probably still keeping him, but he's not even, honestly, in super flex leagues. I don't know if he's even a must hold in shallower formats. Everyone else, I mean, Kamara is what he is. So nothing there. I don't know what this does for the odds that Michael Thomas stays. I don't know if it changes it. I don't know what. I still don't know what the problem with Michael Thomas was. If the problem was with Sean Payton, then it increases the odds that Thomas stays. But given Thomas's Twitter post today about loving Sean Payton, I don't think that was the problem. So I don't know. But yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's not good for anybody. It's bad for Taysom Hill. bad for the guys that he drafted who aren't like stars, like Adam Troutman, Marquez Callaway, like kind of like his guys, more likely to get replaced with a new coach. But for Kamara, Thomas, it doesn't change anything.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything, I think, as far as the prospects of that. I actually sort of would. I'd be going to be really interested in see what happens with Mickey Loomis. I wonder if he was just giving Sean Payton his day, and then I wonder if Mickey Loomis decides to move on too. But I just want to say about Sean Payton, like obviously there's a lot of complicated things you can say about Sean Payton, but the Saints were. It wasn't just that the Saints were bad before Sean Payton and Drew Brees; they were forgettable, and there's a certain special place in my heart for Sean Payton because he made, like, you could watch SportsCenter, which was a thing back then in 2006 before, like Sean Payton got here. That's how you got all your news, basically, pre-Twitter. You could watch that and not even know the Saints existed because there was just nothing interesting about them at all. Like the Dome Patrol, Sigmund Bloom commented and said, like, hey, you got the Dome Patrol. Yeah, it's true. We did. But even that group, I think, was underrated because didn't win one playoff win before he got here. But really just there was never nobody cared nationally. And, when you care about your team, nobody cared nationally about your team. It may not matter. But ultimately, like, he brought a superstar quality, him, Drew Brees, and then Reggie Bush actually was part of that too. You can say a lot of things about him on the field, off the field, whatever it is. But the biggest fear is that the Saints go back to like some obscurity. And I think turning it to fantasy, yeah, it's going to be a wasteland in terms of trying to find fantasy value in this offense. Because not only is there nobody, there's no money to spend. You can't go out and get somebody.
74 million over the cap.
Yeah.
74 million. I mean, I think personally, I believe the Saints are going to be one of the worst teams in the league next year, if not the worst. I mean, they have nothing going for them. Nothing at all. There's nothing good. I have nothing good to say about them for next year. What can you look at as a positive? Really? Nothing.
I don't think
the fact that they won 9 games this year is a miracle.
I don't think Payton goes and coaches anywhere else. I think that's the one thing I'll add.
No, I don't think so.
The Saints do own his rights until 2024, so it would have to be a trade anyway. So it's not like he can just go sign with the Cowboys, which a lot of people were saying today. That's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen this year, but I think it's more likely that he returns to coach for the Cowboys than he returns to coach for the Saints. I think it's more likely that if he coaches again, it's for the Cowboys.
I agree. I do think he could have gone to the Cowboys at any point in the last decade and didn't. So that says something. But I also
I think he wants time off. I think he wants time off to see if he still wants to coach.
I think about
if he returns to coaching, it's going to be in Dallas.
When Gruden retired,
it's not going to be in New Orleans.
Yeah, I think it just reminds me of Gruden.
New Orleans is in for years of disaster. Years for disaster. This is going to be the new what the Dolphins were 3 years ago. What the Texans were the last couple of years. This is a disaster. You're in for a disaster here. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that franchise. That's going to be the fantasy wasteland where I don't want to go. I don't want any players to go there.
Nope. We're going to move on here. It's a good thing that I declared my playoff fanhood for the Cincinnati Bengals. And
that was a good choice. That one was a good choice.
Pat Coughlin. What's up, Pat? Brother of Tom, I assume. He says, looking to move on for my tight end 2-3. Would you recommend trading Knox or Gesicki? TJ Hawkinson. This is number 1.
Well, I have Knox and Gesicki essentially back-to-back. I have back-to-back in tight end rankings, back-to-back in overall rankings. So I'm fine with trading either one of them then. I would trade whoever you can get more for. Whoever you can get more for in your league, I would just trade that one. I don't really have a preference between Knox and Gesicki, that is. Yeah, no preference between the two.
Would you think about trading Hawkinson instead here?
No. Hawkinson to me is undervalued. For me, Hawkinson is more of a buy. I wrote about him in the Lions capsule. I thought his ADP was too low. So no, I don't think so. I don't think I'm going to get the value I want. So not going to do that. I'll stick with Hawkinson and get rid of whichever one of these two I can get more for. But I don't have a preference between the two.
Agree. Continue to use lots of good questions coming in. We appreciate you guys doing that. If you have a question, go ahead and put it in. Also, just if you want us to talk about the value of one particular player or any offseason move or anything that happened, I haven't been able to scroll down all the way yet, but I hope there's some Gabe Davis talk coming because that's been very popular.
I talked about that a lot on my show on Sunday. But also don't forget, I'm going to star questions. I'm going to star questions during the show that I like or that we didn't talk about enough. And I'll get back to those in my article. That's going to be every week, that article.
Buck says, I traded T-Law, Trevor Lawrence, for Matt Ryan, DJ Moore, and a 2024 first. I still have Burrow and Lance. 12-team Superflex. What do you think?
This is fine, but I'm not. I mean, Matt Ryan is worth nothing to me, essentially. Nothing. Use 37, you can't start him. 37, you can't start him. I don't care that it's a Superflex. 37, you can't start him. What is he worth? Nothing. I mean, I have him spotted in rankings between the 206 and 207. So not much.
Where is he in your QB rankings?
Where is he in my QB rankings? Let's see. I got him at 29. That's not even including rookies.
I have him 30. So yeah, I'm right there. So yeah,
not even including rookies. Not including rookies. So he's not even going to be in the top 30 at this point. Once rookies are included. So Matt Ryan is essentially relevant. 2024 first is far away. DJ Moore, a little low. I like him more than most. This trade is about right. But I'm not doing this trade. I'll keep Trevor Lawrence. It's close, though. It's close. If that were 2023 first, I'd like the other side a lot better. 2024, not so much.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is not the right time to trade Trevor Lawrence. I think there's going to be better times if you want to. I don't know that I want to.
I don't want to. So,
Robert Streeter says, what should a contender that missed out on a championship approach the offseason? How should they do that? And not like a pretender. I mean, a legit win now team. So this is somebody who can definitely win, missed out on it, fumbled in the playoffs, whatever it was. Somebody let them down. What should you do?
Take a hard look at your team, really. Like, do you think you can run it back? And if you can, then just run it back. You don't have to do much. If you can't, then sell off your players. But that's what you do. I mean, this is what I do on my Patreon. And this is a big thing I do is evaluating this time of year, is evaluating people's teams, right? And looking and seeing, can we run it back or not? And, most of the time I'm the one that pours the cold water on their head and is like, no, can't. You got to rebuild. But, take a look at it, really. That's what you do. And then, just, keep managing your team. Don't forget to do waivers or anything. And you can still exploit value opportunities. I can think of a few. Maybe buying Leonard Fournette now on the cheap, buying Dalton Schultz now. Players like that who kind of people are like, oh, we don't care about them. And maybe you can get a deal on some of those like not so sexy veterans. So that's something like I'm fine with if you can get them really cheap. But I'm still not I'm not buying players like Julio Jones, like players who are or way past their prime, or high priced veterans like Mike Evans. I'm still not buying them. But if I can get a deal on someone I like who I have confidence in, I'm willing to do it. Comes cheap.
It's almost like you really don't change any approach, right? Like the mistake would be doing something different than you've done that's gotten you to this place. Like don't like Tyler's saying, don't all of a sudden be like, oh, that's an older player, I need to add him to my team because I'm a win now team. Like, just keep looking for value, keep going at the pace you're going on. Obviously you built a good team, and like, is there a time to go all in for one? Sure, but like, that's a lot of times that's more like a during the season thing, right?
Yeah, worry about that later. Just try to make good moves. Don't make bad trades. Worry about value still the most, even as a contender.
Yep. Cody Hutchinson, 12-team Superflex, tight end premium, PPR, trade, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, and Irv Smith. That's a lot. This other side better be really good. For Elijah Moore, Cam Akers, 110 and the 209. Is that enough?
No, it's not. It's not enough. I mean, I'd rather have DJ Moore is somewhat equivalent to like Cam Akers in the 209. And then I'd rather have DK over Elijah Moore in the 110. So I'll and that or Smith not even included. So I'll go with the DJ Moore side. DJ Moore and DK.
Yeah, a lot of hesitancy on DK because of the potential quarterback change. But as we've talked about here before, and I tweeted out actually, like, DK was the QB4 with Geno Smith.
Yeah,
is
I
the
wrote
quarterback.
about him in the Seahawks capsule, which is another one of the ones that I did, which you'll see on the site soon.
Hardest working man in the industry right here, folks. Tyler Carr.
Well, I think we all know that.
If you have questions, go ahead and submit it in. I think we both.
I don't mind having an ego about that. I do. I really spend most of my time working for you guys.
DJ Moore could very well get a quarterback upgrade this offseason too, and
well, how could it be a downgrade, right? I mean, how much worse could it possibly be?
Exactly. Buck doesn't feel good. I was shaky on T-Law. I wouldn't be shaky. I mean, like, is there a reason for like a little kernel of doubt after what he did this past season? Sure, but I don't think there's a reason for us to freak out.
I wouldn't panic.
Patrick, is there a combo subscription for all those sites?
That's a good question,
Patrick.
If there is, I don't know about it. So yeah, that's not a question for me, really. I don't know.
Here we go. Yeah, this is a good question. We'll have to say, hey, Addison, let's ask him, or let's get more information about that. I do know that you can get a 20% off discount to a dynastyleaguefootball.com membership by using the code BetSperts. I did learn that from Addison's video. So watch that video, use that code, and you get 20% off. So there you go. Also, by the way, 10 free Dynasty League football subscriptions are going to be given away at the end of this month randomly because we hit the 5,000 mark. So
I love it.
Yeah, we're over that. So appreciate all you guys for doing that, subscribing, and yeah, you might get a free Dynasty League football 1-year membership. Keith says, here we go. Here's where the action is. Look, you don't put on that headband and pull your hair back if you are not excited to talk.
Well, I'm always excited.
Bring the people why don't you have your hair down though? Like, I think there's probably people all over super disappointed they don't.
My adoring fans miss my hair, I know, but it's still there. It's just in a man bun.
Here we go. Alec asking us about Gabe Davis. Are we changing our opinion about him? He was my pick for next year breakout, but might be late now. What's his value? So did his 4 touchdowns, did that change your opinion on Gabriel Davis?
Yes. Yes, but probably not as much as some people.
It's a good way to put it. I like the way you answered that because, obviously, amazing game. He's got talent. Like, that's clear. Like, he's got some juice. Like, he's got some things that he does well. But
he is very young. That's the one thing I like about him.
Yeah.
Big thing I like is he's only 22. He turns 23 in April.
Yeah.
So that is a big check mark in his favor. But I don't know. I'm not overly excited, I guess. I think this is a little bit of a mirage.
So Gabriel Davis, do you want to guess do you know what his DLF ADP was in January?
106 overall, but it's literally right in front of me.
106.
Overall.
Yeah, okay. I thought you said 26. Sorry.
Yeah,
106 overall, wide receiver 50. It's not staying there.
It's not staying there.
How high does it go?
You want to know where I have him?
Sure.
Well, thanks to I almost did what Addison 43. I almost did what Addison wide receiver 43. I almost did what Addison would hate and copied all of my rankings over by position one at a time. I know that would have literally given. I like to give Addison a heart attack with all of the things that I do the long way. But,
sometimes you're the oldest young person I know.
It's true. In some ways I am, but I found a way to do it that's not super inconvenient to filter out my rankings. So yeah, he's wide receiver 43 for me.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you about Gabriel Davis or
go for it.
Gabriel Davis or Kadarius Toney. Interesting. Okay, Gabriel Davis or Michael Gallup.
I'll take Davis barely. I have Gallup at 44, one spot below.
Gabriel Davis or Rondale Moore.
Still.
Gabriel Davis or your favorite Cortland Sutton.
I have Cortland Sutton one spot higher, and I don't like it. But I get it.
Gabriel Davis or Terrace Marshall?
What? Why are we? Terrace Marshall is not relevant. Terrace Marshall I have at wide receiver 61.
Okay, good.
Way lower.
So there is we're very reactionary as a fantasy community. I think he's going to end up going in like the, I don't know, 31, 32 range.
Yeah,
for wide receivers.
I'll be very out. No,
Yeah.
thank you.
I think he's going to get up into that low end wide receiver 3. If he gets, I just don't feel like there's any way he can get higher than that. He's not getting taken over Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, right? No, there's no way. So I don't even think he's going to get there, but we'll see. He has some room to rise. There's a few players in front of him that I'm not a big fan of.
Yeah, I think so too. Nicholas in the house says, "Sup, dog." What's up, Nicholas? Appreciate you tuning in. Ed says, I think Sean Payton returns in 2023 to a better situation.
Dallas. Yeah, in Dallas. He'll return in Dallas.
And I hope the Saints get a lot for that. Like, was it 2 first-round picks that
those days are gone, I think.
That the Raiders got for John Gruden?
Yeah, that's not happening anymore. Nobody's doing that.
How bad does Jerry want him?
Not that bad.
We'll see. Alejandro, he tunes in. Appreciate the quick question. Calvin Ridley and the 204 for CD or AJ Green. This is a very easy question.
AJ Green is very different. Even if Ridley were back, it would be Lamb or Brown. So it's easily Lamb or Brown.
Lamb or Brown in a landslide here for this. Like, in fact, you could make this the 104, and I'd probably still say CD or AJ.
Well, that's actually, then we're starting to have a discussion, because then if Ridley actually was back, then the deal would be pretty reasonable. Even so, I might take the other side, especially if it's 1 QB. Super flex, I get it.
Have you changed your opinion about whether he's coming back or not?
Is he back?
So no. Okay, good.
So no.
Keith has a question specifically solely for Tyler. What is your waiver wire strategy throughout the year? Do you like to keep a few spots free for value and to block your competition, or are you picking players as you go?
Okay, I'm starring this question because we're not in the year. My general advice is going to be to pick up players. But you're going to find when you read my article, because I just started this is getting put in there, that I'm going to say that the best strategy is not to have one and just pick up the best players. That's what you're going to read in more eloquent terms than that.
There are some guiding principles, but yeah, like we're not there yet. We're not there yet, Keith. We're not there yet.
Yeah, generally, I just like to pick up the players who have the best chance at giving me flip trade value. If you want it in one sentence, there it is.
Yeah,
I'll give you a couple paragraphs on this.
Like 8.5 months before you have to get those waivers in. Keith,
sure.
So don't worry about it.
I'm just going to write about it now. I'll give you some paragraphs.
Well, is this maybe with waivers running in his league?
Oh, I'll talk about it throughout the year. I mean, part of what I want to say, part of why I want to write this is because people can read it, and it's good to remind them to check waivers when they read my article. So that's the main reason I'm going to include it, more than actually answering the question. Is it'll push people to go and actually check their wires.
Perfect. Nicholas, is Rondale Moore worth a 2023 second?
Yeah, still take Rondale Moore over a 2023 second, but it's very reasonable at this point.
He was a 2021 second, right? So has he lost value? Do you think?
Well, he was an early second in Superflex, and in 1 QB, he was going in the first.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So you think
I don't think he's lost enough value to go back a year now. So I'd say yes.
I agree. FF Lefty. What's up, everybody? What's up, FF Lefty? Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate everything and all you guys who are tuning in. Make sure you use that chat button. We are about 30 minutes in and lots to talk about, lots to get to. So make sure you get all those questions in. Salsa, how good do you think Travis Etienne will be? Is he a must hold before we see him on the field?
Well, let's address the second part of the question first. Every player is available. Every player is always available. There are no must holds. Every player is available. If you get a good offer, you move on. Every player is available. So that's the second part of the question out of the way right off the bat. Now let's get back to the first part of the question. I mean, in theory, he should be as good as he was before, but he's a running back who just lost one of the main years of his value. And we know that for whatever reason, players who miss their entire first year, the track record of those players succeeding is awful. Whatever the reason is, it's awful. It's awful. No matter how bad the injury is, those players do not tend to do well. So, that's going to make me a little bit skeptical. So I'm probably on the selling side, but given where I rank him, it's right with his ADP. So I'm not that much on the selling side.
So like ADP actually seemed like he's going in the, 18, 17 range. Like it's pretty high in my opinion.
Yeah, I have him at 19. Running back 19.
We just haven't seen anything. Would you rather him or AJ Dillon?
Oh, I'll take ETN.
Really?
Why would I want Dillon? Jones is going to be there for another year, and Rodgers is maybe gone, and Dillon is older. Doesn't have the draft capital, wasn't as good of a prospect. I don't see why I would want Dillon.
Has had success on the field.
Has he? I mean, could you really play AJ Dillon in fantasy? What was he? RB21 on the year, I think. I just wrote about the Packers today. Could you play AJ Dillon? Could you use him? 2 years of AJ Dillon. When could you use him? Not really, right? So suddenly when you put it that way, it doesn't sound like he's as successful.
How many times have you used Travis Etienne?
0. But he's still younger, has the draft capital. So if you've never been able to use AJ Dillon, I'm going to go back to the better prospect, who's younger with better draft capital, who's also not stuck with Aaron Jones for a whole other year.
He was tough for me to rank.
Yeah.
Josh says, hello, friends. What's up? Appreciate that, Josh. JB Cho knows. Everybody should go follow him on Twitter.
I agree.
Great dude.
I endorse him.
M. Yeckersley. What's up, dude? Appreciate you tuning in as well. PPR Dynasty, keep 2, sell 1. Monty, Akers, Gibson.
Well, I mean,
keep, sell.
Yeah, I mean, you can probably get... I'm going to keep Akers for sure. And then you can probably get more for Gibson based on his price. I'm probably going to like what I can get for Gibson better than what I can get for Monty. So I'll trade Gibson away and keep Monty.
Who has the highest seasonal finish from here on out at any point in their career, Monty or Gibson?
Gibson.
Yeah, I agree. I think you could get a good return for Monty right now. That's who I think I would sell.
People don't like him. People don't like Monty.
Yeah, I think you find the right.
There's a stink about him. There's always kind of been a stink about him. There's people don't like Monty. So I would actually keep Monty and trade Gibson, who has there are some players who have like these people who are like obsessed with them. Gibson, Bateman. They're just like people who are like overly obsessed with these players. Nobody is obsessed with Monty. Monty doesn't have truthers. I've never met one where I can think of 5 Gibson truthers. Not going to name them, but I can think of them right off the bat. 5 big names or Gibson truthers. Akers truthers, we know one of them. We know who one of them is. They're right here. Talking to you now.
Tyler Reeves, I have Burrow, and I'm wanting the Chase stack. Let's pause. How do you feel about stacks?
Stacks are stupid unless you're playing best ball.
Right. Right. Good qualifier there. So
you're playing best ball, it's like DFS, and then stacks are important. But if you're playing just regular lineup construction, stacks are irrelevant.
So then that's going to tell you how the rest of this question is going to go. Do I move off of AJ Brown and try to trade maybe a first, or send like Amon-Ra and Pittman plus for Chase?
You can't trade for Jamar Chase.
You really
can try, but you're going to have to way overpay. So I'm probably never trading for Jamar Chase. You either have to draft him, you drafted him already, or you're not going to get it. It's that simple. You're not going to be able to trade for Jamar Chase.
We were in a group chat with Jeff Bell, who said who they asked how many first would it take to acquire Jamar Chase, and he answered 12. And I'm not sure if he was joking. Like,
I think it would take, if your soul is available.
Yeah. Like, how many of these prospects in 2022 would you need?
Oh God, most of them.
Yeah. Pat says, thank you, Pat. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate the question. West Coast Chiefer, what's up, guys? Thanks for your weekly dedication to us junkies. Yeah, we're right there with you. 12 team, Superflex, PPR, Justin Fields plus what? I have 103, 106, and 206 to get Burrow. Thanks.
Okay, so I think it's at least the 103, and I'm not sure if I'm even doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Would you take it if I offered you Fields in the 103? Is that enough for Burrow?
Oh, like if I'm on the other side?
Yeah, if you have Burrow and I offered you Fields in the 103, is that good enough? Man, Fields in the 106 is a no, I think, easily. That's not even close. So Fields in the 103, I think, is what it would take to even think about it.
You are lower on Fields than most, right?
Oh, well, given his ADP, his recent Superflex ADP is in the mid-second. Yes, I am lower.
I think that is part of what's because I feel like getting an extra, like getting 103 and Fields. I mean, I love Burrow, but that's gonna be a good player.
I just think people don't realize that it's in the range of outcomes that in 2 years you have nothing from Justin Fields. Nothing.
It's true. It's true.
Nothing.
It's in the range
Whereas
of
Joe Burrow, you have 10 years of, barring anyone can get injured, but a healthy Joe Burrow has, you're talking about turn back the clock on Matt Ryan 10 years. That career potential. You have that now. Mm-hmm. Matt Ryan's career starting 10 years ago. What is that worth in Superflex? That career. 10, and it could be better than that. But I'm just saying, like, that's, I think, even if you call that the median range of outcomes, 10 years of Matt Ryan's career, that's worth everything in Superflex. If you knew you had that. And that's what you have, barring injury. We have even more upside, potentially. So I just, a question mark, a maybe. Justin Fields is a lot of maybe, which I don't like maybe. At 103 is also maybe. That's not going to be, there's no guarantees in this class. So, yeah, I don't even think I'm taking Justin Fields in the 103. I think I need more than that.
How do you think Joe Burrow feels about all the talk this week being about like, oh, we're so lucky to get Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes for the next 10 years in the AFC, whatever it is?
I think he's pissed about it. Wouldn't you? I mean, if you're being overlooked like that, but I don't think people are looking past him. I mean, he's in the AFC Championship game. I think people are taking notice.
Yeah.
He's the number one overall pick, right? I mean, it's not like he's a nobody.
No, but he's definitely not getting that kind of, like,
because he's not as
ignoring his existence.
He's not as good as those two. Those two are better.
Well, that's what I mean.
But just because you're not as good as two excellent quarterbacks doesn't mean that you're bad.
Yeah, well, he's not going to.
There are 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL. Just because you're not the top two doesn't mean that there's a problem.
Justin Herbert's there too. Lamar, like, the AFC's fun, man. That's all.
The AFC is stacked.
Like, why would Aaron Rodgers want to go to the AFC? Why?
I don't think it's that Aaron Rodgers would want to go to the AFC. It's that the Packers would want to trade him to the AFC. I do think, though, that while they would prefer to trade him for the AFC, if Rodgers' preferred destination happened to be in the NFC, I do think they would work with him to make it work. I just think that his preferred destination is the Broncos. If he moves, it's the Broncos, who just happen to be in the AFC.
Okay, I'm gonna say what I tweeted out today, just because, like, I know there's a bunch of people who don't even follow me on Twitter here, but like, so he dedicated last offseason to The Last Dance, last season for Michael Jordan. I want him to dedicate this next season to The Decision, and I need like a Joe Rogan interview with Aaron Rodgers.
You're not getting it.
He says, "I'm taking my talents to South Beach."
Yeah,
I want that so bad.
But I wrote the Packers capsule today, so you can see what I said when that comes out.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. Stay in the NFC, Aaron, if you want to win. That's all I'm saying. Pat Coughlin, what do you recommend doing with Saquon? Here we go. PPR.
First time viewer, maybe?
Pat, this is exactly how you like wind up Tyler and you just let him go.
Your first time viewer, or do you just know what the answer is going to be?
Ask a Saquon question. Here we go.
Yeah. I would recommend getting rid of him because we don't want failures on our team. We've had a lot of failures, many years of failure. If you drafted Saquon in a startup after the 2018 season, how are you feeling right now? You used probably your first round startup pick on him, probably a top 5 pick at that point after his rookie year. And what have you received in exchange for that? You received 12 okay games in 2019, 2 injured games, and then out for the year in 2020. And this year, someone you couldn't even use. That's what you received for your top 5 startup pick. That's what you got. That's what you were rewarded with. So why is it going to be different moving forward? Why? Tell me why. Just because he's one of the best prospects ever after 3 years of failure, suddenly we're going to go back to that? It's the same people. The same people who are telling me magically Juju is going to produce again in 2022 when it's been 3 years of failure. Magically, Carson Wentz is going to somehow go back to the way he was before.
MVP.
People were saying that. They were going to go back to 2017 and 2021, right? That was exactly what was going to happen, right? Of course not. So these people just think that the clock is going to be turned back. So there are these people exist in every league, and you will be able to get rid of Saquon at a reasonable price to someone who has this ridiculous belief that the clock is magically going to turn back 4 years. So get rid of him immediately, and don't look back.
Yeah, if I've got Saquon, what do you think about trying to get Dobbins? Trying to turn him into
I love
Dobbins?
it. Yeah, I would much prefer to have Dobbins. Dobbins doesn't have the stench of failure.
It's true. Oh man. Okay. There's so much to talk about. There's so many questions. We got to go. All right. Tyler Reeves says, who are some buy QBs right now in Superflex?
Well, not Justin Fields, but I do like the other 2 quarterbacks in that range, Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance as buys. Mostly, well, Jimmy Garoppolo keeps playing well. I'm really going to like Trey Lance as a buy. I've liked Trevor Lawrence. He's the one I've named kind of throughout the offseason. Other than that, I mean, those are the main 2. I'm fine paying up for any of the top guys. You know, your Mahomes, Allen, Murray. Maybe there's a little bit of a discount on Murray. I would test the market there. Other than that, I do tend to like a lot of the quarterback prices, but Lawrence is probably the big one. I also always feel like Derek Carr is undervalued.
That's exactly the one I was going to bring up. I'm so glad you said him because he was going off. Let's see, in 1 QB leagues here in DLF ADP was QB 20, QB 19 in Superflex. So yeah,
I have him at 17. So
I just think it's a little bit too low. Like I got him in like the 4th or 5th round or something like that in a 14 team Superflex startup. Like just felt way too late.
But generally the guys I like are the higher guys. The guys I don't want are like the middle guys. I don't want any Tannehill, Wentz, Baker, Daniel Jones. I don't want any of those guys.
I'll say Tua. I know Tyler will not, but I'll say
I would say Tua, but his price is high. If his price were lower, I would agree with you, but it's not.
But there's some people go like in front of him that I think like, could you get more for Tua or Mac Jones if you were going to trade him?
ADP says Tua, but that's wrong. You can get more for Mac Jones. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly. See, I think from ADP is a good, like it can help you with value to some degree, but it's not perfect. Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like Tua is actually the value that he should be.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not in on Tua's price.
Trey Lance is also a pretty good buy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mentioned Lance. I agree.
No, you did. Trogdor traded 206 for Davis in a 12-team Superflex.
For Gabe Davis, that's good. I'll do that. Yeah, I have him right around there, a little bit higher.
Yeah, I think that's fine. West Coast Chiefer, congrats on the merger with BetSperts. They have an app. I downloaded it and I started the process, but then I got caught up doing stuff on this. But I'm excited to go explore around and figure out the territory. Yeah. Open 24 hours. Hey, now, what is Dalton Schultz's value in tight end premium? Is he going back to Dallas? If not, where? Chargers would be nice.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz is not the kind of player, given how not exciting he is in some ways, it's ever going to be worth a first, even in a tight end premium. So I have him right around like 203, 204. And I'm fine paying that. I do have some concerns if he doesn't go back to Dallas. Chargers would be nice, but there's no guarantee he signs there. Dalton Schultz hasn't been paid anything. So he's not signing with us in mind. He's signing with his wallet in mind, which is, again, the right thing for him to do. So if the Jets offer him the most money, he's going to sign with the Jets. So we don't want that. So Dalton Schultz is risky because I don't think Dalton Schultz is actually any good. I mean, he's good, but we talked about this on a couple of shows ago. Like, who do you think is better? Dalton Schultz actually better? Dalton Schultz or Hunter Henry? Which of those two players is better?
Probably Hunter Henry.
Hunter Henry. But
not
Hunter Henry was not a difference maker on the Chargers either. Yes, it would be a different offense, but I don't want to get carried away. I just think Dalton Schultz's ceiling is not that high. I don't want him to leave. He's the kind of player I'm not sure is going to translate to another scheme. He's not universally talented. So I don't want him to leave.
Right. Me neither. I want him to stay right here in Dallas.
Would be any other destination, no matter how strong, would be a downgrade. I don't care where it is. It's a downgrade for me. I want him to stay. Any departures and downgrade.
Cincinnati?
It doesn't matter. It's that he's the kind of player who I think is scheme dependent. So I don't want to take any move is a risk. This is the one place we know he can succeed. He's already done 2 years. 2 years of success now. But he's just not that athletic. So if he goes to another place, what if it doesn't work? He doesn't have he's not like some other players like Noah Fant, who will always be okay because he has his athleticism to fall back on. Dalton Schultz doesn't have that.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz is right now going as a tight end 10. Like I just think that's a value. Especially if he stays in Dallas.
Value if he stays in Dallas. But I think that the price is reflecting the risk that he doesn't. Like I said,
would you trade
$30 million? He's going to the Jets.
There's some wild trades. So I went to DynastyLeagueFootball.com's Trade Finder, which is a great tool that you can get if you are subscribed to the channel. You could be chosen as random and win a subscription if you don't already have one. So do that, or you can go and use the code BetSpurts for 20% off of your membership and go sign up right now. The Trade Finder, I looked up. Dalton Schultz was traded for Brandon Cooks yesterday.
That sounds about right.
Really?
Yeah, I've Schultz a few spots higher, but that's not unreal. I mean, Cooks is a solid wide receiver producer. Schultz is. I mean, Schultz, I'm telling you, if Schultz goes and signs with the Jets, he has no value at all.
That's none. True.
He's zero.
But he's 25.
But he's not at tight end. The line between startable and worthless is like 3 points.
Man.
So
it's
careful. Careful. You saw what happened to Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith. They had lots of hype value, and now, poof, value's gone. One fell swoop. Both of them. Done. So that could happen. He signs with Seattle. They need a tight end. They don't have any tight end. Everett and Disley are free agents. He signs with Seattle. You going to want him? You going to want him if he signs with Seattle? I don't think so. So careful. You need him to go back to Dallas.
Nicholas, if you only have one running back left to rebuild, Nick Chubb. So that's a pretty good one.
So get rid of him. Got it.
What should I expect in return for him? A younger running back, a younger wide receiver, go for picks?
I feel like you asked me about this. Well, you already have 9 first. Okay, that's a good start. That's good step in the first step in the right direction if you have a rebuild to have 9 first. So we're already in a good place. Chubb, nobody wants. Chubb is unpopular. But you should be able to get a first plus something at least, right? I mean, worst case scenario, if you really can't do that, try to trade him for a wide receiver. Can you get maybe, I don't know, a wide receiver people are down on? Like, I don't really like Chase Claypool, but he's in the value range. Rashad Bateman, say, Amon-Ra, and a 2023 first. You think you can get that?
Yeah,
you're probably better off targeting 2023 from a contender than 2022 because they're giving up an asset they don't need. They're not going to get now. So try for 2023 first plus the best wide receiver you can get. You're not going to be able to get 2023 first and Elijah Moore or Devonta Smith. You're not going to be able to get that. Devonta Smith maybe, but Elijah Moore no.
See, I kind of wonder about going the other way and trying to trade Chubb and using one of those first.
Well, you're in a rebuild. In a rebuild, we're not going to do that. We're not going to trade away a first now.
But with this many of them,
no. You trade away a first later, but not now. We want to have those picks so that way when we get to the draft, we have the maximum amount of leverage on everyone else. So we're not going to be trading away. There's no reason to trade away a first in a rebuild in January. We're not going to do that. That makes no sense at all.
The other thing I love, like, we get so many questions that, like, one of my takeaways, one of the things that I feel like I've learned from the questions on this show is that people get really nervous if they have too much depth at a position. I don't really understand it, but they want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't be nervous about that, but that's a good thing. That's a good thing. We want to have depth. Did you not see what happened this year? Oops! Oh, all the wide receivers are gone. Mm-hmm. Well, if you had some depth, maybe you would have been able to win that matchup, but. Sorry, your team was too top heavy, so you actually weren't able to play any good wide receivers this week. So I would suggest you have depth at a position and a strength. Just accept that. You don't have to worry about that. Try to focus on picking up some values at the lower values at the positions that are weak. But I don't necessarily see depth as a problem in today's world.
No, nor should you. But my point of that is maybe you can go find somebody in your league who has a bunch of wide receivers. And they may be willing to trade because, like, oh, I've got so many and I don't have any running backs. So, yeah, I want Nick Chubb.
You also can try to, like, go to someone like Michael Pittman or even Devonta Smith and see if you can get something else with them.
Yeah, agreed.
People don't like those two.
Tyler Reeves, double dips. Appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you so much for the questions. If you have a question like Tyler, go ahead and put that in the chat there. I'm debating on if I should trade my 103 pick. Team is decently set. Mac Jones, QB2. So I'm thinking maybe upside QB. Running back 2 and 3. I'm assuming this is Javonte Williams and Michael Carter. Yeah, St. Brown, Pittman, A.J. Brown. So basically, what should he do with this 103? Should he trade it to try to upgrade a quarterback 2?
No, just hold it for now and see where it goes. There's no rush.
Yeah. Best time to trade a draft pick is when?
10 minutes before you have to make it.
Yeah. You're going to get the most value at that point. So do that. Tyler Patterson. So many Tylers.
A lot of Tylers today.
Yeah. Gosh, it's Tyler Day. Any thoughts on Irv Smith Jr. in a tight end premium? Have him and Fan at tight end. Feel like I can get some value out of Fan and take a shot on Smith. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we know what I think of Fant. It's not good. Not good. Not very good. So we don't want him on our team.
I'm still a believer.
I don't see how.
Give me Rodgers or Watson, and then, like,
if
I'll be all the way back
Rodgers and somehow Jerry Jeudy and Alberto go away in the trade, then maybe I'll have some faith in Noah Fant. But until that time, I think not. I value for Fant.
23-year-old Irv Smith.
Irv Smith I like as a stash. I think we're asking about Fant. I guess we're asking about both. Mm-hmm. Irv Smith I love as a stash. You can't trade for him because people will see what you're doing. They'll see right through that. But in a startup draft, I would definitely consider taking him at his current ADP. Although his ADP is pretty high. So I don't know. I don't know if I trust the ADP, though. I have not seen him go that high.
Over 24 hours. Yes. Talk again about Schultz.
I did, and probably not in the positive way I talked about earlier.
Ed Grants, our friend Ed. What's up, Ed?
To be fair, Schultz was one of the biggest players I talked about over the summer that I was right about.
That's true.
So of all the players I talked about in advance, he's one of the ones I've been talking about for the longest. So, but that just goes to show that I'm not blindly loyal.
Yeah, and people did fight you about that because
very much the Jarwin truthers really came for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I remember. Fant, big sell. I think so too. I just don't know. People are buying. I guess that's the thing.
No, there are still people who believe in Evan Ingram. I was listening to the DLF podcast, and I heard somehow a discussion about how Evan Ingram was going to find a new destination in free agency. And I was like, great. It's on the DLF podcast. People are going to take it seriously. Now I have an opportunity. There's a sell window for me to get any of the rest of my patrons to get rid of any shares of Evan Ingram. Maybe people will listen to this podcast and believe. So if there are still people who believe in Evan Ingram, somehow that's mind blowing to me. There are definitely still people who believe in Noah Fant. So get rid of him, because people are just like obsessed with the athleticism, but they don't realize that athleticism does not equal fantasy production. Fant will always get a job because some other team will decide that they want this athleticism. Getting a job doesn't mean we want him. Those are not equal.
The Carolina Panthers have a brand new offensive coordinator, and his name is McAdoo. Ben McAdoo. I
feel so sorry for that team.
Somebody you know a lot about here.
Yeah, no, he's terrible. He's terrible. He's completely incompetent. So I feel very sorry for the Panthers. Did Addison record a video about Ben McAdoo being a good hire? I may have seen that. Well, I disagree. As someone who's way too familiar with Mr. McAdoo's time in New York, no, thank you. I wouldn't want him to coach, my children's team, let alone an NFL team. So this is a disaster. I don't like that.
I almost said Bob McAdoo. He was a basketball player, but it's Ben McAdoo.
Yeah, that's a different person.
Yeah, Ed be worried about
agrees with me. I like that.
Yep. Jake Leibler, are you moving Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase?
All right, just stop the question. No. The rest of the question doesn't matter.
You pretty much can just stop there.
Rest of the question doesn't matter. Do not move Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. And the rest of the question is relevant unless you get a 50 to 75% overpay. That's what I want. I want a 50 to 75% overpay. I don't care what the overpay is, but it's for blank, or blank. The answer is going to be no at any fair value. It's going to have to be a massive overpay, no matter what that is. But otherwise, no.
It's hard for me to imagine anything less fun than trading away one of those guys right now. Like you're not going to feel good. You're not going to look at your team and be like, oh, cool. I don't
care about fun. It's just
that I know you don't. I do.
Well, I'm fun. Enjoy listening to me and watching this show, and then take the valuable players like I tell you to.
But you're not going to like your team. When you trade them away and you go to reset your order, that moment when the trade goes through and there's missing spots in your order, you don't have, you're going to look at your roster and be like, oh, I don't have Chase there. You're not going to like the way it looks after. You're just not going to like
what's that? There's a reason that they're top 3 picks in a startup draft. There's a reason they're there. You can't just get another one.
Fun.
Yeah, but it's not even about that. You just can't replace that. You can't replace that by getting a bunch of other things. It doesn't work that way. You can't replace that value. So if you have it, keep it.
Chase for Jonathan Taylor.
Well, speaking of players that fall into that category, Jonathan Taylor's another player like that I would say the same thing. Don't trade. I'd take Taylor. I give you the same speech if the question were about Taylor. If you asked, are you moving Taylor? The answer would have been no.
So you could have so Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, you would trade them for not an RB1, you trade them for the RB1, and then that's it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I would have given you the same speech about Jonathan Taylor that I gave about these two. Yep. I think that Jonathan Taylor is like turning back the clock on Adrian Peterson, starting from year 2 of his career. You want to give that up in Dynasty? You want to trade that away? I don't think so.
No,
I don't think you want to trade that away.
Nicholas, what's your preference on rookie draft times? Think we were doing 5 minutes. This must be 5-minute picks, I guess, with trades.
It can't be a 5-minute round. 5-minute picks, probably.
Kamish mentioned a 24-hour clock per pick with trades. It's only 3 rounds. What do you guys think?
Then how is it a 5-minute round? I'm confused. There's a 5-minute round, but a 24-hour clock?
I think he's saying that you want to go towards the possibility of making it a slow draft, which I would say, yes, do that.
I would do a slow draft.
Yeah.
I prefer a slow draft, but not that slow.
It's fine. You get 8 months. Don't
24-hour pick. I don't need a 24-hour clock.
No, you don't need a 24-hour pick.
24-hour clock is too long. I think that an 8-hour clock that turns off overnight is the clock.
Sure.
It's the clock I usually use. So say turn it off from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. Otherwise, 8-hour clock. It doesn't run during that time. 8 hours otherwise.
Ed says way easier to find a running back to plug in. Jake, yeah, keep those elite wide receivers.
Yeah,
You're not trading Jamar Chase for like Joe Mixon or something like that.
No,
Like,
nobody's doing that.
Or Dalvin. Don't do that.
Not Dalvin. Yeah, we're definitely not doing that.
Yeah, agree. So deep at wide receiver, even beyond Chase and JJ. This is what I mean. This is exactly what I was saying. People get depth at a position.
Some of the other players then.
Yeah, people get depth at a position and they want to make trades like where the value
people
doesn't
are
work
trigger
out.
happy.
Don't
you know, that's everyone wants to make a trade, and you just have to not do it.
Yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Lots of Jake and Ed talk down here. Tempted to go Treylon Burks, even though it's slim. Right. Look, don't make a draft pick in your rookie draft based on your needs either. Don't do that. Take value. Patrick says Amon-Ra for a 2023 first. Or are you riding with Amon-Ra St. Brown next year?
I mean, if we're in a 1 QB, I could see it. For Superflex, I'll take the 23 first.
I made a post that mentioned Amon-Ra today, last night, and I just had to turn off notifications because too many people were arguing about Amon-Ra.
But that's me on every post. If I should just turn off my notifications permanently. I make a post asking where Juju goes in free agency, and somehow what apparently people care about, there's 160 comments about that. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I see.
People argued all day about Amon-Ra in my comments. Apparently, people have strong opinions. What about you? I don't know that we've gotten you on record about Amon-Ra.
I've talked about him. I just don't have a strong opinion, so we didn't talk about it for that long. I'm like right in the middle, exactly with ADP, exactly with consensus. So almost exactly.
Which is rising. I think it's gonna go up. It can go down if they add a wide receiver, but I think it's
gonna go up. Really, I think he's kind of. There's not much room for him to grow.
Interesting.
Well, not without playing. I mean, I'm talking about growing during the offseason. It's not going to go higher.
Yeah, Ed Burks is good. Don't let the running backs this class. Agreed.
Brees Hall is worth taking. Brees Hall, just given the age, I like it. We have two top running backs with, who are 21. Who'll be 21 when we start the season. That's what I want to see.
Tyler Reeves, Tyler Boyd. Look, so many Tylers. Tyler Reeves, Tyler Boyd. Jacoby Myers or Gabe Davis.
Oh, Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is the only one of these who has any relevance at all. The other two are roster cloggers.
Yeah, that's probably true. What happens to Jacoby Myers?
Roster clogger.
Yeah.
If the situation stayed the same, you still can't use him. And that's assuming they don't add anybody. Nobody's leaving. Everyone's under contract. Aguilar, Bourne, and the two tight ends are all under contract. So no one's leaving. So the best case scenario is it's the same as this year and he's totally unusable. So what's the worst case scenario? That they sign Allen Robinson in free agency? By the way, I think that's very likely.
Interesting.
When you see the Allen Robinson thread, I've done Christian Kirk, Mike Williams, and Juju Smith-Schuster. I predicted their destinations. When you see the Allen Robinson destination, this is where I'm predicting him to go. And if Allen Robinson signs there, you can kiss Jacoby Myers' fantasy value goodbye. So
yeah, that's probably true. If you're on the clock and you could take one of these three, take Davis.
Oh, Davis, yeah.
And yeah, I think that's
I guess I take Myers as my second choice just because he's younger than Boyd, but I don't want either of them.
David wants to know your thoughts on Tony Pollard. Have an offer to get him in exchange for Rondale Moore.
I'm kind of meh on Tony Pollard. I'll stick with Rondale Moore. There's no universe in which it's just not happening. A healthy Ezekiel Elliott is not getting benched for Tony Pollard. He'll decline in work, but Tony Pollard's never going to be the starter with a healthy Ezekiel Elliott. So, agreed. Unfortunately, while I might disagree with that decision. I didn't say I agreed with that decision. I disagree with that decision. I think that they're better off just giving Ezekiel Elliott plotter carries. I actually think that look at how Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon split it. I think if you split it that way with Pollard being Jones, 55-45 or so with Pollard leading and receiving work, because I don't understand why Zeke gets more of that. I think that's what they should do, but that's not what they will do. So I'll take my chances on Rondale Moore. With that said, if the Cardinals re-sign Christian Kirk, Rondale Moore is going to plummet in my rankings because that means they don't believe in him. They drafted Rondale Moore clearly. Where does he play the slot? Where's Christian Kirk good? The slot. Rondale Moore was a replacement. for Christian Kirk, who's in free agency this year. If they now reverse course and sign Christian Kirk into a free agent contract, that means that they're essentially saying, Rondo Moore, he's not a part of our plans. So if they do that, then we have a big problem. But I don't think that's going to happen.
It's true. I agree with you that I still rather gamble on Rondale Moore here. We are just over an hour into
a gamble,
our
though.
show.
It's a gamble. Recognize the gamble that you're making.
Got about 30 minutes. Use that live chat. Ask any questions that you want down there. If we don't get to your question, it is something that could go into Tyler's article. But if you're watching this, go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just look down, see if it's red. If it's red, hit the button and subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button, the thumbs up. You know, Addison feels good every single time somebody pushes that button to like a video. It's just like, you know, euphoria gets released in his head. Like he loves it.
I know from personal experience that it would make Addison very happy.
Mm-hmm. Salsa 19 wants to know, when trading 103 for a 2023 first, how much should it bring in?
Okay.
So flipping.
So let's go over this in an interesting way. So in a super flex league, I'm more likely to consider this kind of thing because the quarterbacks this year are weak and the quarterbacks next year will be stronger because they can't be worse. So in a super flex league, I'm more likely to consider this. In a 1 QB league, I'm fine with the top prospects, like, you know, your Breece Hall, your Burks. 103, Spiller maybe. Another wide receiver could emerge. It's a little unclear how that's all going to shake out, but I'm going to be happy with 103. So in a 1 QB league, it's a lot. In a super flex league, I mean, like 2023 first and like, I don't even know. It's not that much. 2023 first and something decent, like 110 and 2023 first for 103. I mean, in last year, you weren't doing that. You weren't getting that done.
No,
but I don't think it's as much.
I'm not sure you're getting it this year. I feel like people are valuing those 2023 first as highly as any of the first. In this draft.
So I'm looking at my chart right now, and generally I would say, you know, in a startup, I'm willing to give anything past my first 6 rounds for a 2023 first. So anything 7th round or later. And, you know, I only have 8 picks inside the first 6 rounds, which was less than usual in Superflex. So, you know, I would just give the 109 or later for a 2023 first. Usually it's even less than that. Usually it's 111 and 112 only. But this year I'd give the final 4 picks for 2023 first.
I hope this person picked this name because they liked Victor Cruz. That's why. That's in my head canon.
I like Victor Cruz.
That's my head canon there. Clue 10, 123. What would you do with Tom Brady and Gronk in a 12-team 1 QB league? I'm transitioning into a rebuild after trying to win, and I don't see the purpose of holding them on my roster any longer.
Well, I would try to put them on the block right now, just
before
in case.
Before they retire.
Yeah. And see what you can get. If you really can't get anything, wait for them to hopefully announce that they come back and then move them right away. But yeah, in a 1 QB league though, like Brady probably was one of your last picks, and Gronk was waiver wire pick a couple years ago. So you didn't miss out on anything. It's not an emergency like it would be in a super flex league. These are not core parts of your team, or they shouldn't be. So yeah, I guess in a 1 QB league, take whatever you can get.
Like almost literally whatever you can get. And
they're not worth anything.
Kevin, is there ever an argument to draft for need in a rookie draft, or is it always so? Can you ever see this as a possibility? Like you've got Jamar Chase and Jefferson and Waddle and CeeDee Lamb and AJ Brown and DK Metcalf and you know, whoever, and
no, I'd be more likely to trade the pick if I didn't like who I was going to pick, because you can always get good value trading the pick. Always. You can always get good value. Usually you can get what you want. I will say that if you find yourself in a super flex league with no quarterbacks in a dire situation, I am sometimes okay with forcing yourself to take a quarterback, especially if it's a league that values them highly, because the opportunity cost of waiting on a quarterback and trying to trade for one later might be extreme. So I am occasionally okay in Superflex especially if it's more than 12 teams, forcing a quarterback. But it would have to be close, more likely if it's more than 12 teams. And this year is not the year to do that. Because the quarterbacks just aren't worth doing it for.
Very good. Spock 498. First, he says, love the show, guys. Thank you, Spock. Appreciate that. 109 plus Mooney for DK Metcalf and a 12 team.
Yeah. Metcalf easily.
It's Metcalf. Yeah. People too low on Metcalf. That might be who to go by.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, add draft for value, trade for need.
Pretty much.
I do think there is like, I like the little qualifier you gave there where you said like, hey, maybe sometimes I'll force you to take a quarterback, but I'd almost rather take that pick and try to trade it for a quarterback. But you're right. Maybe there is.
Typically, that value isn't as good as just taking the quarterback.
Yeah. Clues having trouble finding them. Dustin, best night of the week. Yeah.
I agree. So it's definitely my best night of the week.
Absolutely. Me too. Love being in here. And honestly, like I love being able to hang out and talk with Tyler. And like I feel like I get smarter. I also just love the interaction with you guys in the chat. Like I genuinely hope you guys know that I'm not just saying that. I love the interaction. I get messages from people on Twitter like telling me things about like how much they love the show. I love that. It really is great. He comes back. He just buttered us up and he says, hey, Cal Tyler, hope you're well. Congrats on the DLF news today. We're the biggest buys this offseason at each position. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Here's his. Lawrence, Dobbins, Elijah Moore, Goddard. What do you think?
You steal from me? This list looks almost like I wrote it. I don't know. Something to think about. Copy paste.
I think that's
you could have basically replaced Dobbins with Akers, and that's basically my list. Where exactly?
Yeah. Trey Lance might be cheaper, and I might prefer going to try and get him.
He's not. Trust me.
My favorite buy. Well, Dobbins is somebody I've been talking about for a long time too. So
me too.
You know what? If I can't say him, I'm starting to think Josh Jacobs is somebody I like to buy. He's younger than people realize. There's so much safety in like, yes, there's not like the crazy high ceiling, but there is a very high floor, I think, with him.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, I don't know though. Like if someone already has him, they might feel pretty good about him. Josh Jacobs is more likely something I would draft.
Yeah, I think people hate him, but
they do. I don't hate him.
Wide receivers. Gosh.
I mean, Elijah Moore is the guy, is the one that I always mention every time.
I'll say Marquise Brown just because I know Tyler isn't going to like that.
He's whatever to me.
And
I don't have a strong opinion on him one way or another.
Yeah, maybe I'll say Dalton Schultz, as we talked about him earlier. Tyler, another Tyler. What is this?
I know. It's getting crazy.
Going on? What pick value do you anticipate Elijah Mitchell to top out at this offseason?
Okay, so I've had a lot of trouble like normalizing my pick values. It's been difficult for me to get that sorted. I keep moving it around. I keep changing it. I've been a little more indecisive this year. Right now, I have him between the 105 and the 106, just above the 106. So that value. But I'm not actually making that trade, honestly.
I do think this postseason has helped him some because, very end of the year, he was injured. There was like, I feel like there would have been more questions if he hadn't come in and done, gotten the carries that he's gotten.
Generally, if it's even close, I'm always going to go with the pick because the pick can't get hurt and nothing bad can happen to the pick over the next 3 months. So if it's anywhere near, I'll go with the pick.
Elijah Mitchell or Cam Akers?
Akers.
Yeah, it's closer than I thought it would be for me.
I think it is close. I have them close.
Giddy up, traded Chubb, Mac third for Burrow and a super flex.
Pretty sure I'm the one who told you to do this trade and at the time, and I stand by it, and I'll go with Burrow, which is what I said then, and I'll stick with now.
Celebrate. Giddy up.
Yeah.
Dustin Ross, 12 team, super flex. Would you trade 101, 2023 third, and Dak for 103 and Burrow? Lots of Burrow trades.
Okay, so we're going down from the 101 to the 103, but we're going up from Dak to Burrow. I'm going to stick with the 101 and Dak just in case the 101 like soars, and the 101 is more likely to soar in value than the 103.
Mm-hmm.
We know what Dak and Burrow are worth. I'm going to stick with the 101 side just in case something crazy happens, because if something crazy happens, you have the 101, you can pick whoever that is. If it happens, you have access to that player no matter what. I'm going to stick with the 101 side here. It is a fair trade, but I'm going to go with the 101 side.
Yeah. Who are these people trading away Burrow after watching him play these last 2 weeks? Like, what are you doing? Are these people buying?
If you're going to trade Burrow, this is the kind of return I want.
Oh, man. Kid Coop has an 8-man league. Okay. Don't have any elite receivers. Traded away Mixon, Robbie Anderson, and Callaway for Godwin and a 2023 first.
Okay, so in an 8-team league, Anderson and Callaway are completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
And a 23 first is the 108 at worst. So we're talking about a much better player than in a bigger league. I'm fine with this. I'm fine with it. The value's probably about even.
Even in a 12-team league, though, like Godwin in a first,
in a 12-team league, I think
Anderson and Callaway are almost nothing. Godwin in a first is more valuable than Mixon.
Not after Godwin's injury. It's not. He's not much more. That's not much more valuable than Mixon.
If you knew it was a top 8 pick in 2023,
that would help. That's why I'm picking that side now.
Yeah.
But in a normal league, this would be more reasonable. I could get it.
I gotta hurry. I didn't realize how far behind.
We're miles behind. Like we're almost 40 minutes behind or more.
We may have to do some overtime. 2023 second for
overtime.
Claypool or Rondale Moore. What do you think?
I'd rather have Claypool. Rondale Moore has proven absolutely nothing other than like 2 games. So I'd rather have Claypool.
If you knew Christian Kirk signed elsewhere, I'm gonna give you like a hypothetical. Okay, Christian Kirk goes to wherever, San Francisco or something.
Yeah, well, that's not likely, but sure.
And Claypool has Mason Rudolph as his quarterback.
Doesn't change my answer.
Really?
No, not on this answer.
No,
Rondale Moore.
You still
Rondale Moore did so little that there's just you can't assume he's gonna be anything. You can't assume it. He didn't do enough to assume he's gonna do anything.
Claypool is like one of my biggest sells right now.
Me too. This is more of a negative commentary on Rondale Moore than any positive commentary on Chase Claypool.
That's fair. Is T. Higgins worth 2 first?
Yes.
For a rebuild team, I don't. Are you trading 2 first for him though?
Well, no. I assume the question was, we're a rebuilding team. We want to trade T. Higgins away. What do we need for him?
Oh, well then yes.
So yes, that's what I would want. In a 1 QB, it better be 2 good firsts. Otherwise, I'm not trading him.
Right.
And a 1 QB is the kind of player you build around. And a super flex, I'm more likely to trade him because then those picks are more likely to turn into a quarterback, which is really what we want to build around. In a 1 QB, he's a young receiver. You already have what you want to build around, so I'm not moving. I don't want to move him. But in a super flex, I'm fine with it if it gets me first at value so I can get a quarterback, which is really what I want to build around.
Travis Etienne.
Do people realize that in a 1 QB, the players you hold are wide receivers, but in a super flex, they're quarterbacks in rebuild? Do people realize that? I don't know if people realize. I don't say it that often, actually, explicitly.
Yeah.
But just so you know, that's you start with quarterback in super flex.
Spock 498 says Travis Etienne plus A-Rob for Gibson. What do you think? 12-team Superflex.
Seems fair.
I'll take Gibson.
I'll take Gibson, but I feel like if A-Rob signs somewhere good, you could squeeze more actual value out of the other side.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I'm not that high on Gibson.
Allen Robinson did like the Odell Beckham, where like I don't think you're ever getting value for him ever again.
Well, if I have Gibson, I'm not trading him for this. If I have the other side, then I guess I would send it for Gibson, but this is not my first choice. This is not what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, which says something about the way you feel about Gibson, I think.
Says something the way I feel about A-Rob too.
Yeah. Michael Coffey, thoughts on Russell Wilson plus Najee for CMC and Cup?
Okay, so we see 10 team superflex. So remember, that changes everything. The quarterback is worth way less. Well, I mean, okay. Interesting. This is an interesting trade. I mean, CMC, Cup, Najee are all kind of worth pretty similar. Najee is obviously worth the most of those, then Cup, then CMC for me. And then Wilson. Yeah, in a regular superflex, I would take the Wilson side. In a 10-team superflex, I could understand taking the other side, but I'll still take the Wilson side just because I want Najee more. If you switched it and it was Najee on the other side with one of the other two pieces, then I would take the other side. But with it this way, I'll still take Russ and Najee.
Does it change your mind that Christian McCaffrey now has Ben McAdoo as his offensive coordinator?
No, because Christian McCaffrey is scheme coordinator, quarterback, proof of everything. Literally, every time Christian McCaffrey has been healthy, he has been the running back 1 overall. Essentially, every time he's been healthy, he's been good. No matter what, doesn't matter who the other players are, doesn't matter who the coach is. None of it matters.
Yeah.
So
I just wanted to get your thoughts on Ben McAdoo again. That's all. Aaron, 1984, thoughts on Davis Mills and a 2 QB?
It's risky. I mean, look, if Davis Mills comes out next year and lights the world on fire, he'll keep the starting job, but that's what he has to do. And I don't know if he's even going to get that chance. It's possible he doesn't. So he's risky. I have him at quarterback 28, just on the off chance that he does get the opportunity. But, that's all he is. He's someone I'm not, if you want to pick value in a 2 QB, I have him right in the range with Matt Ryan and Jordan Love between the 206 and the 207. So it's kind of not super excited.
I'm not sure there's another quarterback whose value fluctuated so much. Like it was really good to end the season, great into the season. And then when the coach got fired, it's like all of a sudden, big question mark.
That didn't even really change the value for me because we don't know who the new coach is.
That's what but yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes it so, that's why it all of a sudden soured on him. There was this
but also I didn't like the coach, and it's the GM who picked him, and the GM has not changed. Yeah. So
he's Gardner Minshew to me.
I agree.
Yeah.
But if Gardner Minshew had succeeded in his second year, he'd still be the starter.
David wants to know, should he sell Zach Wilson for the 110? Have we seen enough to move on or hold?
It's crazy that this class is so weak that Zach Wilson was so bad, yet has gained value.
If he came out this year, would probably go in Superflex 101.
Zach Wilson is better than any quarterback prospect in this class, hands down, not even close.
Right.
Prospect-wise. He would be the best quarterback prospect in this class, easily, hands down, with no argument. He'd be the best. He'd be number 1. He'd be the number 1 overall pick, or the first quarterback taken for sure. Zero doubt. So I will not be moving Zach Wilson for the 110 because me
neither.
I mean, I'll probably, just because we know Zach Wilson has a year of failure, there might be one quarterback I take above him in this class, but there might not. And in that case, he'll be worth more than that. So funnily enough, he's somehow gained value in rookie picks. This class is weak.
Superflex, half PPR trade contending. Give Stafford, Gabe Davis, get Lamar Jackson and Tyler Boyd. What do you think?
Lamar side. Lamar's worth more than Stafford, Davis, and Boyd all combined. So Lamar side.
Agreed. David traded Terry McLaurin, James Conner, and Allen Robinson for Cooper Kupp and Brandon Cooks.
I will take, let's see. Cooks, honestly, Cooks and A-Rob are not that different at this point. So, I mean, who's produced more lately?
Right.
And I'd rather have Kupp over McLaurin and Connor. So I'll take the Kupp side.
I think I just want Kupp. Just give me
a Kupp side.
Yep. David, a lot of Davids and Tylers today. Wow. 12-team Superflex, half PPR, Deontay Johnson, and a 2023 second, or Brandon Ayuk and a 2023 first.
So we know that I adore Deontay Johnson. Like, Deontay Johnson is one of my favorite players. Brandon Ayuk, I'm not a huge fan. So I'll take the Johnson side.
Yeah, this isn't enough to trade up.
Without the second, maybe I'm thinking about it more, but otherwise the Johnson side.
One QB league. Do I need to add to JK and Gabe Davis to get the 2022 105 and a 2023 first?
No.
In a
You
one
don't need
QB
to.
league,
No,
I don't think so. No.
No, I think you should be able to. I mean, I would rather have the picks, but it's close. This trade is fair.
You've stated you don't think Rodgers is going anywhere as the season was coming to an end. Has that changed?
Man, I still think he stays, but the betting odds favor him leaving. So take that for what you will.
And I think over 24 hours that Adams is going to be like Adams has said, yeah, I'm going to go where Rodgers goes. Like
that might not be possible though.
It might not be, but if he cares enough to say that, don't you think Aaron Rodgers also cares enough to, like, I think he's going to have some leverage in terms of his trade.
He might, but I don't know if that leverage includes bringing Davante Adams with him.
Well, okay, Tom Brady had enough leverage to bring Gronk and Antonio Brown with him.
They were free agents.
It's true.
Davante Adams could be franchise tagged.
Well, yeah, okay. I guess it does depend on that. Yeah, Davante Adams, UFA, but yeah, it could be franchise tagged. What about CD Lamb 4, Elijah Moore, and a 2023 first?
Not
enough.
It's not enough. I'll take Lamb.
Do you go for value in startup drafts?
Yes.
In everything. Like, there's nothing you can put, I think, in this. Like, do you go for value in and blank? I don't know if there's anything you could put in that blank where the answer wouldn't be yes in Dynasty Fantasy. Don't fill positional needs. No, don't do that. Yeah, as Ed says, we don't have to set rosters for a long time. Plenty of time for trades. That's what you want to do. Who would you target with a Calvin Ridley, Amari Cooper package? Or would you keep both until free agency or traded?
I really don't want these two.
I like these like targeting people with Ridley and Amari
If
Cooper.
I could combine them, you think maybe I could combine these two into Elijah Moore?
That is insane that's a sentence that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to try.
But it does. It makes sense. You may be able to get more. I think people are still valuing Ridley pretty high, in my opinion.
Oh, it's not. The Ridley's not the problem. Amari Cooper is the problem. People don't like him.
They haven't liked him for forever.
That's true.
Yeah, Ed's been trying to trade Jacoby Myers. Good luck.
Yeah.
Adam says, Callan Carp, the homies. Love that. Appreciate you tuning in, Adam. Yeah, Salsa 19. My dog's name is Salsa, and I wore 19 in high school football. Okay,
I love it.
All right. Headband Carp is playing for keeps. Yeah, exactly.
I always play for keeps, though.
Hill or Kyle Pitts for the last of 3 keepers in a 10 team. So Tyreek Hill or Kyle Pitts.
Tyreek Hill.
Who are your other 2?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is only a 3 keeper. 3 keepers, not that many keepers.
Kev Runner wants to know, am I just overrating Dante Foreman and Dynasty? DLF has him around RB 80 in most recent rankings behind a bunch of RBs who I would never even consider rostering. I can't be this far off. We found Foreman truthers. Kev Runner is running the Truther Club. What do you think?
I mean, I have Foreman higher than that. You want to know where I have him? I have to scroll. He's not very high. I rank 83 running backs. I have Foreman at 53. Is that better for you, Kev? 53 sound good to you?
Anything after a certain point, it's like, it's fine. If you believe in Dante Foreman, great. Like, I don't, he's not starting in Tennessee next year or anywhere else, probably.
I have to tell you that I do not think that many people, and I get criticism for this, I don't think many people are like me with rankings who update them every day and go from top to bottom like multiple times per week. That I think is me and only me. So I've never heard of anyone else who does that. So I think that's me and only me. So, expecting everyone else to do that is not reasonable. So, I don't want to say anything about that. But yeah, I have him at 53. But yes, I do find, because this comes up later in the chat, I do find that sometimes people do not go to the bottom of their ranks when they're updating them as often as they update at the top. Agreed. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at ranks. I always have more confidence in what's at the top than I do at the bottom. And that goes for any site, any ranker, anybody. Goes for Trade Analyzer, Keep Trade Cut too. More confidence in what's at the top because more people are looking at it. More people are focused on it. People put more effort into what people look at more. Right.
Ed points out 60 people are watching, 21 likes. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate that. Thank you for the likes. Go ahead and make sure you hit that like button and look, share this like with people who aren't in leagues with you. And like, yeah, let's
forget that. Share it with people, share it with everybody. Like if you really want an edge if you want an edge from me, sign up for my Patreon. Like you can get an edge by listening to this show, but this show is more to help you think. This is a public show. A few hundred people watch this. This is not a secret.
Yeah.
This is not going to be a secret. You're not going to get like a secret advantage.
That's true.
From watching this show. If you want a secret, you can subscribe to the Patreon. But
let's get up in the triple digits for this off season. That's what we need. That's where we need to get.
Yeah, for this show, I basically just try to help anyone watching think about their dynasty teams, give general advice and just also try to have fun. Like I try to make this show fun. Like I could just be like, yeah, the answer is this, blah, blah, blah. But like, then nobody would watch. Nobody would watch if that's all I did. Nobody wants to see me just read from a spreadsheet. There are plenty of people who are good at that, who have much better spreadsheets than me. So, I just have one spreadsheet with a list. You don't want to see me read off that. So we gotta like spice it up a little bit. Like when we ask about Saquon Barkley.
Tyler knows a lot of things very well. Spreadsheets are not one of them.
Not one of them. Not one of them. You can ask Addison or Dynasty Outhouse or anyone else who's ever interacted with me in spreadsheets. It's not my area of expertise.
Clue 10, 1, 23, 12 team, 1 QB league, 1 QB again. Would you send Amari Cooper, Michael Gallup, Rashad Penny for the 108, 208, and DJ Chark?
No. Enough of that. I'll take what? I'll take the
fun. That's all.
Let's see. No, I don't believe fun. I don't do fun. Gallup, I'd rather have Gallup over Chark, I think. And then I'd rather have Penny over the 208 and Amari and the 108 and a 1 QB are about the same. So yeah, I'll take the players.
Yeah, me too.
Players side.
Jacob says my league really undervalues quarterbacks in two QB leagues. You change your draft approach, knowing your league is very QB averse in valuation.
No. I answered this question in the article actually this week. The general answer is no. Might I avoid taking 6 quarterbacks in that league? Yeah, maybe I won't do that. But to a point, but I never want to do that. I'm not a QB extreme, kind of person. I don't like that. I find that doesn't work. I think that's one of the worst draft strategies, in my opinion. But I'll stop at 4 quarterbacks when I try to stop at 5 at most. So maybe I'll stop at 3 or 4 if the QB is really not being valued, and I won't push it.
I'll adjust to what's going on in my draft though. Like I do think, and you're saying the same thing. Like you're not going to go as heavy on it.
We're talking a tiny adjustment. Maybe I'll take 4 quarterbacks instead of 5, but we're not talking about like a big adjustment. And I don't like to get cute because you never know. There's time between your picks. Maybe it was QB averse and then 2 rounds ago and all the quarterbacks are gone. So you don't want to get caught out that way. So that's getting too cute. I just try to make good picks. I don't build a good team. I don't try to sometimes the enemy of good is better. You make good picks. You don't need to overthink it.
Yet another Tyler Superflex rebuild. Would you pass on QB within reason in the first round of rookie draft this year to load up on wide receivers and use 2023 to grab QBs and running backs?
Again, I kind of feel like we're getting into a little bit of like galaxy braining here. Like, I don't know. How many picks do you have next year? How many? The answer to this question is no. I'll take the value on players. I'm not specifically straining myself without quarterbacks in the hope of getting them next year. That doesn't sound like a good idea. So,
So we found out the answer to our question. We want to know who else he had other than because he had Tyreek Hill and Pitts, Jamar Chase, and
Lucky
Jonathan
you.
Taylor.
Lucky you. I like it. Lucky you. Good job. Chase, Taylor, and Hill as keepers. I like that.
David, as a contender, would you try to sell high on Mixon with the lateral move, say McCaffrey, or just hold him?
Well, I'd rather have McCaffrey than Mixon if I had to choose. But yeah, I would definitely try to sell high on Mixon. Dobbins, it's the same players again. Dobbins plus Akers plus. Those are always the targets.
What are your thoughts on the trio of Madison, Pollard, and Kareem Hunt going forward? I feel like Hunt's different than those guys. I have them all.
No, they're all different. They're all different.
Someone interested in both Madison and Pollard. Yeah, I would trade them.
Madison is just a handcuff.
Yeah.
Madison, if Cook is in, Madison is worthless. So Madison's a handcuff. He's different from the other two. I have no interest in him. He'll never be a starter. He's not actually good. People were trying to tell me once, one person tried to tell me that Madison was more talented than Dalvin Cook. And I was like, how you got to that conclusion, I don't know how you got there. But if you go look at the numbers from this year, if you watch them, we know which player is better. It's Dalvin Cook by miles. Madison should get no touches if Cook is healthy. So Madison is worthless to me. I have no interest in him. Pollard, we've talked about. He's a complementary piece. You can start him as a flex in good matchups when Zeke is hurting or out. Especially hurting though. When Zeke is hurting, or in a really favorable matchup, you can start Pollard as a flex. Hunt is a little bit better than that fantasy-wise, but he's older. So he's a little bit worse than that dynasty-wise. Hunt, you can start as a flex anytime he's healthy. But the problem is that he's older. And I think the Browns are going to keep him. He only costs $6 million. They can cut him for free, but I don't think they do. $6 million in a run-heavy offense for one of the best backup running backs, if not the best in the league, is a bargain. Especially given that they're not paying Chubb that much. So, and then what? We're waiting for Hunt to be a free agent at 28. I'm not waiting for that. So Hunt is not super exciting for me dynasty-wise, but if you have him and you're a contender, you just hold on to him and wait for the few games you can play him. No problem with that.
Ed, so a compliment for Tyler here. As someone who jots down where Tyler ranks his players, I am amazed at how often he updates them, fanatical about it in a wonderful way. I think
it's funny you say that, Ed, because you only see every time I port my rankings over to the Patreon Google sheet. That's a 10th or a 20th of the times I actually update them.
Yeah.
So however much you think I update them, it's about 10 or 20 times more. So there's plenty of things you can say about anybody. There's things you can say about Tyler. You cannot say he does not do his. I really try to put in the work for you guys, just because
not many people can sit here and answer questions for hours.
That's important too. But the other thing is that I know at this point that people are going to take what I say and just do it. There are going to be people who watch the show, me on Twitter, whatever, starts it. There's a lot of things that just take what I say, don't think about it much, and just do it. They just do what I say, pick who I said, trade what I said, blah, blah, blah. And if I'm aware of that, and there are going to be people that do that, I better be very sure that I'm confident in what I'm saying if people are actually going to do that. And that's why I work so hard, because I know people are going to follow not everyone. There are a lot of people who think about it, but there's going to be a portion of the audience that just follows what I say without thinking. And I just want to make sure that I'm delivering for those people good advice, not bad advice.
FF Lefty, my day is already filled with Baby Shark having a toddler, and you got to bring it to my relax and watch Ask DLF night. CLU, you're a monster.
Careful. We're going to get the Baby Shark soundtrack if you're not careful.
Yeah. Yes. Gator Fan 15, which I just want to stop and say, are you my brother? Because I think my brother had something like this in his YouTube handle. If this is my brother, identify yourself.
I know who this is, so I don't think.
Okay, never mind. Then
I don't think it's your brother.
Who are your top 3 QBs in this year's draft, and where are you willing to take them in a rookie draft?
Yeah. Okay. So basically, to me, and the rookie ranks are not done yet, but I have them on the side. They haven't been Patreon published, so nobody's seen them other than me. Essentially, to me, there's 4 quarterbacks right now that I think could have a potential at being like a first-round pick. It's Matt Corral, however you want to pronounce it, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, and Sam Howell. And then you kind of have Desmond Ridder and Carson Strong kind of around the edges, but they're lower for me right now. But it's all going to depend on the draft capital. Corral is the clear one, I think.
They may all end up being first-round picks in Superflex leagues.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
As weak as it is, it almost feels like I've seen most people mocking them to be in the first round.
So I have no confidence in any of these prospects. So this year, more than any, draft capital is going to decide it. It's like more than any other factor because I don't have any confidence in any of these prospects.
Charv, Saquon, and 105 for AJ Brown.
I mean, in a 1 QB, it's a smash except for the AJ Brown side. In a super flex, I will still take the AJ Brown side.
Yeah, me too. I want AJ Brown over.
Yeah, still take the AJ Brown side.
Kevin, I gotta give you guys a double thumbs up. Really appreciate the show. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Gator fan, maybe my brother, maybe not. I'm the co-commissioner of a Dynasty League. What's the max number of rounds you'd like to have in your rookie draft?
I started this question because I might talk a little bit about commissioning and rookie drafts in an article more than I could talk on a show. Max number? I mean, I think 4 or 5 I'm fine with. I'm fine with 4 or 5. 3 seems like too few. 6 seems like too many. So 4 or 5 in any regular format. Generally, if it's 1 QB, 4 is probably good.
Yeah.
If it's super flex, probably prefer 5. But those are the real options for me.
Richard Davis, what would you give on top of Singletary pick-wise for either Travis Etienne or Josh Jacobs? It's a good move. I like this move. Yeah.
Try Singletary in a second for either one and see if it gets done. I'm just not paying a first plus for these guys. It's not the kind of move I make.
Devin Singletary was worthless like a month ago.
Right. But I just mean more like I'm not paying a first plus for Etienne or Jacobs generally. Like if
without anything else, like a first for you wouldn't do a first for Josh Jacobs?
I just don't do that. I don't do that. I don't give up firsts for running backs who I already know are not going to have a high ceiling. I don't do that. Like ever. Yeah. That's just not how I play.
Like 109.
I mean, 109, Superflex 109. Yeah, I have that about equal to Jacobs and Etienne.
Nailed it. Look at that. No Lamont. Trade
actually right in between. I have 109 below Jacobs, but above Etienne. So you actually nailed it right on the money.
Trade this year's 102 for a 2023 first and a 2023 second.
No, that's not enough.
I don't think
not enough for 102.
Also, one more. What's the trade value of DK Metcalf at this point? Lower than it should be.
Yeah, I still have DK Metcalf above the 101 in all formats.
I think it's lower than it should be. I
do not expect there, even in Superflex, to be a rookie that I prefer. Like, people are talking about Matt Corral as the 101, but I don't think Matt Corral is going to come into the league as a QB1. I think that I count 13 quarterbacks that I'm confident are going to be ranked ahead of any quarterback in this class, no matter what. The peak for a quarterback coming in is at quarterback 14.
Hey, it's a Taco Tuesday. We got a little bit. We're going overtime. We're winding down. We're almost done, but we got a little bit of time for me to bring up some DK Metcalf trades and ask.
Well, I just wrote about him.
DK or Darnell Mooney and a 2022 first.
Is that the one that Spock was talking about? Because didn't we have something like that?
We should know where this is, but I'd have to click into the league.
Well, no, I literally wrote about this. This is going to come out on the site with DK Metcalf trades. I'll take Metcalf.
Me too.
But I wrote about this.
Okay, Superflex, 14-team league, DK and Darrell Henderson, or Zach Wilson and a 2022 first.
Depends on where that first is, but probably the DK side.
Probably. Some interesting ones, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I can read you the one from the article. It was Ezekiel Elliott, Aaron Jones, and Dalton Schultz for DK Metcalf and the 2022 first. I mean, it's obviously the Metcalf side.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like he's undervalued right now.
And then another one, DK Metcalf and Trey McKitty for Austin Eckler and a fourth.
I just saw that one too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I picked a couple of the recent ones from my article. But the article's written. It's in there. It's obviously I couldn't spend as much. I could do a whole article on DK. This was because I wrote so much about DK. This article ended up being way longer than it's supposed to be. But that's neither here nor there.
Like if you have Eckler and you can turn it into DK right now, like
Yeah, with only a fourth. Yeah, I kind of like it.
TaylorMade 10 team, not a Tyler, but a Taylor. It's close. 10 team Superflex full PPR 102, 108, 24 second, or Travis Etienne in the 105.
Oh, the 102 side.
Me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, easily, not even close.
Devin Singletary in a second is what I offer both. So yeah, kind of the same thinking.
Yeah, try it. If it gets declined, it gets declined. Then you just move on.
Gator fans, not my brother. Like my brother was he loved Tim Tebow. He wasn't from Florida.
Oh my god.
He's University of Florida fan. Actually, Wurfel is who he fell in love with initially, and then it was like cemented by Tim Tebow. Huh. Miles Sanders value. What do you think?
Okay, I've been updating this spreadsheet. Right now, in a Superflex tight end premium, I have Miles Sanders between the 112 and the 201. In one QB, I have Miles Sanders right around the 109. So there you go. It's nice. It's nice this time of year when I can put a number on it.
Miles Sanders, like, value is so low right now, but I don't know that it, like, I can't argue that it should be higher. Like, he's being traded here, like, for Rashad Penny and Robert Woods. Like, I'll take Sanders just because on there, but like,
I have Sanders below every running back that I have any confidence in, and above everyone that I don't.
Yep, good way to say it.
Yeah.
I have one first round pick currently this year. Are you looking to acquire multiple first, or wait?
Also, in case you wanted a running back ranking on Miles Sanders, I have him at running back 23.
Okay. Yeah, and he is that is pretty close to his ADP, which I don't see Miles Sanders for some reason. Why don't I see Miles Sanders?
His ADP is 74th overall. 74 overall.
Yeah, okay. RB26. He was just below where
so even lower than I have him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no one's willing to buy Sanders from me in the last 2 months.
Well, if maybe you can turn Miles Sanders into Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Hollywood Brown.
Would you rather have Amon or St. Brown?
Oh, easily. But that's not possible. I wanted to give him something realistic.
Oh,
you're not trading Miles Sanders and getting Amon-Ra.
The disrespect for Hollywood. God.
No, I just think that Amon-Ra is so popular that's not.
Let's see.
60 people watching.
I
did see someone comment 60 viewers, only 21 likes. So if you're here, like the video and subscribe to the channel.
One first round pick currently this year. Are you like, if this is just in general, am I looking to acquire multiple first?
I mean, yes, but
both.
I will tell you, given what I've seen, if I'm in a startup draft and there are rookie picks in the draft, I have a feeling I'm going to end up with a lot of them because people do not want them. But it's different if you're in an established existing league and people already have their rookie picks, then they kind of want to hold on to them. But in a startup draft, people are not, with rookie picks included, people are not picking them. So I would acquire a lot of them in that case. But this is an existing league, I would consider it, but only if people want to get rid of them.
Clyde Aker, 12-team Superflex. What pick is Michael Thomas valued at?
Sure. I mean, I don't want to turn this show into just me read the answer off my Patreon spreadsheet, but I have him valued around the 201. But yeah, this is, again, something, if you want this on demand, this is probably the best part of my Patreon spreadsheet, is the pick values are in there with the players. So you can just directly look across. And sorry, I keep plugging that, but it's literally, I'm using the sheet for the Patreon. So to give you the answer, it's the same sheet. I use it, the same one I give them, obviously. If it's good, like I would use for myself, obviously, what I would give as my content.
Just to go back to this, like, this is one of the biggest things, like gigantic question mark, right? Because
now there's more question marks.
Right. There was already one. And now, gosh, without Sean Payton, what happens here? Why does he want to stay? Like, he didn't want to stay before. Why would he want to stay now?
Who knows? But we'll see what happens.
Miles Sanders or Rashad Bateman?
I just didn't mention Bateman because Bateman has a truther hive and he's so popular on Twitter. I didn't think he could get him.
Don't think you can get him. Yeah. Are you buying T. Higgins? And if so, what would you be willing to give up for him?
I mean, yes, I am buying T. Higgins, but I think that I would rather buy DJ Moore in that range because I think he's going to be a lot cheaper. And I think they're almost equal. But yes, I'm buying T. Higgins. What would I give for him? I mean, I have him just below the 101 in a 1 QB. And between the 102 and 103 in a super flex. So a lot.
T. Higgins or T. Higgins in a second or AJ Brown?
Brown.
Yeah, I think so too. T. Higgins.
Dynasty Outhouse recently tried to get me to trade T. Higgins away in a deal involving DK Metcalf, and I completely shut him down.
T. Higgins in a first for CeeDee Lamb.
Higgins in a first.
Yeah, I think that's that's kind of where that line is.
There were other pieces involved, but he was trying to get me to give Higgins plus for Metcalf, and I was like, it's not going to be that much of a plus. You're not going to like the offer, so we didn't get a trade done there.
Dustin Ross, like the show, subscribe. Yeah, like the show. So go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe
to the channel. That's even more important than liking the video.
Well, although like the dopamine hit that Addison gets when you hit the thumbs
dopamine
up
hit that Addison gets is much more on a subscription than a like.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah,
because he's been pushing that contest for 10 free subs for so long that he wants as many people in that contest as possible. You can only be in the contest if you subscribe. And don't worry, if you already have a subscription and you win, you'll just get another year, an additional free year tacked on to whatever your subscription is. So you can still win even if you're not a new subscriber to DLF.
Sign up for the Patreon, Tyler's Patreon. Yes.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/fantasy advice. Can't talk right now. Yes. I don't know how I got that, but
you have colors on your or no, categorize. Sorry.
Categorize. Yes. I finally found a good way, thanks to Addison and Jacob Sanderson and one of my patrons actually. Forget Keith. Yeah, Keith. Forget his Twitter name, but Keith for helping me organize the spreadsheet in a way to get positional rankings. Although it's still a little bit messy, but it only takes an extra couple of minutes for me to port those over. It's not too bad.
DJ Moore could be a monster. If the Panthers get Deshaun Watson as a quarterback,
and that's exactly what I think is going to happen. It just might be a little bit of a delay.
Bob says it's time for a new backdrop. I agree. If only I knew somebody who was really good at making graphics that could help me with this.
Yeah,
Bob,
if only we knew somebody.
If you know anybody, send me his contact, please.
I know some people.
Bob is who made this one.
I know. Yeah. I did have a thread. I did have a thread a few weeks ago talking about that. I don't feel like graphics people get enough recognition in the industry. And I had a thread just asking people to highlight graphics work. So that might come again soon, by the way.
He's going to reach out. Bob's one of the few people that have my cell phone number and text me. I love Bob. 12 teams.
Yeah, I don't know who in the industry has my cell phone number.
Dalvin
Coop, Nate Williams, a couple other people. Cody from DLF. Not many others.
Dalvin Cook, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Evans for DeAndre Swift and Devontae Adams. That's a big deal.
I will take Adams is tough to value right now. Adams and Cook are kind of similar, actually to me. So in value. So
I think I'll take Swift and Adams. Although
Evans is really scary because if Brady retires, Evans is dead in the water. So I'll take the Swift side because Swift is the one piece here that I'm very confident in.
If Brady retires, do they go after Jameis Winston?
Oh, I would love that. I would love that if they go back to Jameis Winston.
Thoughts on Hunter Renfrow?
Undervalued.
Undervalued, production, his
underappreciated.
Value is never going to equal his production.
Yeah, no, it won't.
You can probably trade Gabe Davis for Hunter Renfrow right now, and
I have Hunter Renfrow ranked higher in my dynasty rankings.
Last question here from Rich. I have Swift as an anchor RB for my team. Everyone else is tradable. I know I should trade them, but is it okay to only have one running back in the offseason? Wait, before you answer. Every time I try and trade away a running back, I always want one back on fear that I'm going to have to pay too much when the season starts.
Fear Fear is probably the thing that holds dynasty managers back the most.
Oh, preach. So true.
Fear doesn't. Do you win any titles for fear? Does that help you win anything?
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, Richard.
No, seriously though, fear usually is what leads you to making mistakes.
Yeah.
So my answer to this question is no, don't worry. And also, if you listen to the show, I will help you try and find this year's, hey, I talked about Philip Lindsay before the season started, James Robinson before the season started, Elijah Mitchell before the season started. These players exist if you just look for them. I'm not saying I can guarantee that you find that player in your league. You're the 1 out of 12 that gets them every time. But if you continue working, if you continue grinding, you will find running backs that come out of nowhere every year. Deonta Foreman this year, for example, on waivers, you could have picked him up. You could have had something there if you had picked him up. So you have so many opportunities to get a running back. I wouldn't worry about it, especially at running back.
100% agree. I think
quarterback's a different story. Quarterback in a super flex league,
yep.
Worry about it. Worry about it then. But a running back, no, I wouldn't worry about it.
If you stud up everywhere else and your only hole is like that RB2, like
you'll find it.
You can make the playoffs that way,
Like, who expected Cordero Patterson to be usable at running back this year? Right. You show me someone who expected that. Nobody. So he came out of nowhere.
What's up, TJ? Is Kittle a top 3 tight end?
Yes.
He's right there.
Yeah, he's 3 for me.
I put Kelsey 3 and Kittle 4, but he's close.
Yeah, I have Kelsey, Kittle 3 and Kelsey 4. I get it with Kelsey, but I just think there's one comparable for Kelsey, really. And it's Tony Gonzalez. And 32 was the last good year. And the years were good, but 32 was the last year he was worth much. Like, he would have been worth anything in Dynasty. 33, suddenly the floor he went from like a stud to just fine. So we just hit 32. Nobody's really done it. Nobody's done it. Is there anyone that? I don't think so, right? There's no tight end who's really done Kelsey type production or anywhere near it. Top 5 production at 33, 34. There isn't a model for that. Witten didn't do it. Olsen fell off around that time. You have mid to low end tight end production after that, and tight end 1, mid to low end tight end 1 production after that, but you just do not have high end tight end 1s after 32. Nobody's done it. So I'll bet against him just based on the age. And unless you think Kelsey's the best receiving tight end ever, which, to be fair, he's high on that list, but he'd have to be better than the other Hall of Famers too. And I'm not sure that he's better than like Tony Gonzalez, for example.
The problem is, it's just like Achilles ruptures. You don't have a lot of like data, right? Like the problem is you don't have a large enough sample size. There's not
literally no one has ever done it. There are zero people who have ever done it.
Well, there's also like 5 people who have ever been Travis Kelce, right? Like it's a very small pool that you're pulling from. So like,
but there have been people who've had high end tight end production, and none of them have continued it past 32 is the kill age. So I'm gonna have to bet against him because he'd be the only one ever to do it.
With that, we thank all of you guys for tuning in. This was a very fun show. Ask DLF, Taco Tuesday, Waffle Wednesday, whatever you want to call this. It is our first one under the BetSperts umbrella. DLF, I'm super pumped about the future of what we got going on. We're here no matter what. Look, right here, Tuesdays, find us, hang out. Let's just keep growing the show. I think this show is so much fun. Let's keep growing it. Love the audience here. We had a few questions that we didn't get to. Send them to us.
Gator fan, you asked a bunch of good questions at the end. I starred your questions. Don't worry. Those might come out in the article.
Very good. So for Tyler, any last words?
No, I just appreciate the audience for sticking with us, throughout the show, longer show this week, and just everyone who watches, listens, all that. And we'll continue to be here. I'll continue to be on Twitter, and just appreciate you guys.
Yep. And with that, we're out. subscribe to the channel, subscribe to DynastyLeagueFootball.com, follow Tyler, follow me.
Love it.
And what's that